I got pulled over once and the cop screamed at me. I didn't think I was doing anything terribly wrong. Was I speeding? Yes. Was I speeding in a way that deserved being screamed at? No. I had chili in the front of my car. I was going to church for Bible study. And I kept thinking as he was yelling, what did I do? I'm so confused because I feel like my energy and your energy are not matching. And typically, if your energy and somebody else's energy are not matching, you guys are not thinking about the same problem. One of the things he kept saying is, you have kids in the car. Don't drive like this. And I was like, I have hot chili in the front of the car. I really didn't think I was driving that wild. And as he walked away, I saw in my rearview mirror that he was visibly upset in the front of his car. And I knew in that moment, this had nothing to do with me. Something must have happened either on that shift or on another shift that he saw something terrible happen to kids because of speeding. I saw him pull himself together. I saw him walk back to the car, and he was very quiet at that point. I think he knew his reaction didn't match what happened. He handed me back my ID and said, please don't drive like this. You have kids in the car and I want to make sure that you're keeping them safe. Which pretty much confirmed my suspicion that he saw something that happened and he didn't want it to happen to my kids. See, the root of his reaction was not the fact that I was going 10 miles over the speed limit. The root was that he didn't want to have to be the bearer of tragic news about somebody else's child again. And I think about that when my kids have over-the-top reactions. Very rarely is it about what's actually happening, and most of the time, that's just the icing on the cake that made the whole thing blow up. Rarely is the actual problem the fact that their sibling was in their face. The problem could be that they're hungry, that they're tired, that sibling has been secretly bullying them and you haven't caught it, or that sibling has been outwardly bullying it and you haven't been stopping it. That child could be having struggles with executive functioning skills or something in school, or maybe they're just starting to come down with something. But so often we as parents, we want to address that specific situation because we can see it. It's easy. It's so easy to address the symptom. But so often when we separate ourselves, when we take a few minutes, we see the root problem. And just like when you're pulling weeds and you pluck out a weed and you take those roots out of the ground, it's never going to grow back because you solve the problem at the root level. But if you just chop off the top of the weed and you leave the roots, it's going to grow back. You're going to have the same symptom over and over and over again because you haven't dealt with the roots. And honestly, think about this with yourself too. If the littlest things keep setting you off and the littlest things that your kids are doing are making you crazy, is there a root? Are you hungry? Are you frustrated in another relationship in your life? And unfortunately, your children are just reaping the negative aspect of that. Is there something frustrating at work that's pouring over at home? Look for the root, not the fruit. The fruit is just telling you something's wrong, but the root is what's going to actually solve the problem. So always be looking for that root cause and teach kids to how to deal with their emotions healthy. That's why I recommend the Little Spot books all of the time. Because it teaches not only them to deal with their emotions, but sometimes it teaches us ways that we haven't learned. I mean, adults don't know everything. Sometimes we need those skills too.